The home of the common Joe and the common Sally in the know, even more so than all those media talking heads. Well, what do we have here? It ain't college football week 1 in the books. That's right, it's already going by like a blink of the eye. But somebody got their ass whooped this week, and it wasn't Oklahoma, and it wasn't Alabama, and it wasn't Florida State. But somebody got their ass whooped. And Prime Deion Sanders, once again showing that he has no class in victory on stage playing the HBCU card because he's a general bitch and he don't like being called out about his nepotism. Also, as promised, a perk for the Outlaw Posse, the deputy badge comment of the week comes from, I got it on my little screen here. It comes from Alpha Dragon Gaming FTW. Who cares about the complaints? Just like in politics, it is the smallest crowd that seems to yell the loudest, but we know you do not give in to pressure. Keep up the good work, my guy. That is the comment of the day. Now, let's talk about it. Another episode of the Outlaw of College Football. It's week 1 of the college football season is officially in the books, as I said in the lead up. And coming in once again to help us with today's show is our random 4 horsemen shout out going to Rich Castle, Sidney Long, Denizen, and Killback First have their batches. They're deputized and they're ready to go and help us with today's college football invasion. Also, we have a couple of new posse members that have signed up. They are now deputized and they have their badge. And they are as follows. T7 Rick 13 and Dale Cent are now a part of the Outlaw Posse. And if you want to be a part of the Outlaw Posse, all you got to do is hit that little join button next to the subscribe button. It's not but $2.99 a month, 75 cents a week. And if you're on an Apple phone, you may have to go to your laptop or computer because it doesn't mesh with YouTube memberships. Also, we had some donors to the show as well. The Rhino26 once again coming in with a huge $100 donation. And J.D. Wilmoth with a $10 donation. And Alice Stokes using Cash App sent me $20 and helped cut the middleman out. Now, also, I can be reached on Twitter at OCF. Now, getting right to it here. I'm going to start off talking about old Prime Deion Sanders because I know a lot of my haters out there want to hear what I got to say about him winning his first game. They're, trying to come in here and trying to rub it in my face a little bit that old Prime won a game against a TCU team that has completely no defense. And people wonder why I continue to call out Prime as Prime because he's all about himself. He's self-righteous. If it ain't about him, it's about his sons. But there's other people on that team, Deion. First thing comes out of his mouth in that press conference is, oh, this HBCU player just passed for 510 yards. Really? And then a female reporter is going to do her job and ask a question, and he's just constantly cutting her off because obviously she questioned him about his nepotism. Well, now you see why I started him. Now you see what blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay. Let me tell you something. Let me tell y'all all something. I've been trying to help y'all out with Deion because he's conning me. I know a lot of you Prime groupies out there, and there's even some, a lot of Oklahoma people watch his channel. But there's an Oklahoma podcaster out there that's really got a tent in his pants for Deion. I ain't going to name him by name because he's not worth my time, but there's a lot of them out there that got a tent in their pants. Now, they have jizzed their panties, literally, most likely, over this one game against TCU. I hate to rain on your parade, but TCU has no defense. Hell, Shadur, whatever you named him, Shadarius, Shaka Zulu, whatever you named your son, he could have done that at Jackson State if they had played TCU. He probably could have put up at least 35 points with Jackson State's offense because TCU has no defense. Evidenced by the fact last year when they got blew out in the national championship game, ruined the national championship game for everybody. I'm sitting down and trying to watch a national championship game, enjoy myself, and what happens? I'm sitting there watching a damn homecoming game that should have been on the SEC network. You know, everybody, well, that's Georgia. Yeah, but if you're on a national championship stage, you shouldn't be giving up 65 points. And if you do, you should at least score more than 7. I mean, it'd be different if Georgia beat TCU like that during the regular season or for homecoming, which is what Georgia should have done this year. They should have dropped Oklahoma and picked up TCU, because TCU probably bit an easier out than Ball State, who they picked up. They should have made TCU the homecoming game this year. So, y'all need to temper your expectations, because it's coming. I can promise you this. It's this Deion Sanders. He does play Nebraska this week, and Nebraska doesn't look like they have much offense. At least they didn't against Minnesota, so he may get another pass this week. But eventually, Deion Sanders will end up botching this, in my opinion, because he has a lot of selfish attributes that just isn't cohesive in what it takes to be a head coach of an entire team. You know, being a player and running your mouth and playing one position is one thing, or coaching, as you said, the HBCU level. By the way, the HBCU people do not like you, Deion. So quit playing the HBCU card. They don't like you, man. They think you're a sellout. You said you was going to take the HBCU and push them up to Division I football, and the first college football offer you got on Division I level, you took it and you run. If you'd never said that, I wouldn't say anything. I was like, yeah, you know, he needs to move on up. You know, he needs to move up to the next level of college football. That's the natural progression. But you made the statement that you was going to take the HBCU schools to another level, alluding to the fact that you was going to push them up to Division I status eventually, somehow or another. If you don't believe me, ask Eddie Robinson Jr. he don't like Deion Sanders too much. But now let's move on to the good stuff. Those Oklahoma Sooners looked rather good. I know people are going to come here and say, well, it was Arkansas State, but they did to Arkansas State what was supposed to be done to Arkansas State. Unlike someone last week who gave up 28 points to San Jose State in the skittle shitter way that they do. And they give up another 14 points to Nevada this week. But Oklahoma looked really good. For the team they were playing, they did exactly what they were supposed to do. So I don't want to hear anybody come in here and trying to derail that or to take away from it, because it's just not happening. I mean, they did everything they were supposed to do. The defense throwed a shutout. What else can you ask? You know, Dylan Gabriel looked really good. Played good enough to where they could get Jackson Arnold in there for some quality snaps and playing time. Jackson Arnold, by the way, went 11 for 11, as I said in the live stream Saturday. And you could say, well, he didn't pass that much. He passed into double digits. And if it had just been 4 of 4 and 5 of 5, I would understand what you're saying. But 11 of 11, that's pretty impressive for somebody that's never played a down of college football. And that's where Oklahoma is really going to get people this year. You see, if Dylan Gabriel goes down, they actually have a very good backup. Now, of course, you know, they may still lose some games if Dylan Gabriel were to go down, of course. But there ain't going to be none of that 49-0 shit. I can promise you that. I don't think Jackson Arnold will allow for that. I really don't. Also, the defense, I just mentioned the defense. The defense did exactly what they're supposed to do. What else? I mean, I've seen a few comments, people come in and talk about the defense, how they did some things that weren't right, but I'm just like, they still shut them out. Still shut them out. And then the running game. I mean, this was, you have nobody with astronomical numbers, but you had it spread out in such a way that lets you know that they have a stable running backs. So, pretty much a good all-around day for Oklahoma going forward. Now, they play SMU this week. That'll be maybe a little tougher test. We shall see. I think they'll handle SMU rather easily, though, just like they did Arkansas State. Maybe not 73-0. But I could definitely see 45-10 or something like that. And then my team, of course, Alabama, they blew out Middle Tennessee State. Did what they were supposed to do. They give up that one touchdown. But other than that, the defense looked amazingly better. Of course, it was Middle Tennessee State. But Jalen Milroe, at the beginning, I was sort of getting a little antsy about him. But then towards the middle of the game, he threw a couple of long strikes on the dime. Now, you could attribute that to the fact that Middle Tennessee State has very weak defensive back play, and that great defensive backs won't have that much separation, and so he'll probably need to throw it on a dime a little bit better. You can make that argument. I could understand that. But once again, they did what they were supposed to do. Now, the final game of the day I want to talk about is Florida State versus LSU. I took Florida State, by the way, after everybody grilled me about that. I took Florida State to beat LSU 2 years in a row because I think Florida State is on the move up. They're one of those darlings that everybody's on the bandwagon with. I don't usually get on the bandwagon with people, but I think Florida State could be on their way up and maybe closing in on probably unseating Clemson as the king of the ACC. We shall see. But what does that say about the team that a lot of you come in here and hate on, Oklahoma? What's that say about Oklahoma, who played Florida State about as close as you could want them to play them without beating them in the bowl game last year? Sounds like two teams on the upward move to me. Now, LSU, I try to tell people, LSU, I like LSU. People think I'm going to grill on them because they're a rival of Alabama, but I actually like LSU. People, I've partied with them before. I went to the Independence Bowl back in the day when Alabama sort of sucked. And they always treated me well. I've always heard horror stories about LSU people, but I've never had any problems with LSU people. They're great people to party with, but I'm telling you, Brian Kelly is another guy that just had a few lucky breaks last year. They're still living off that 1-point victory over Alabama. And people are still buying into it. Y'all are being conned by Brian Kelly. He's a piece of crap. I'm telling you. Down the road, Brian Kelly will hurt LSU. Like I said, they're still living off that 1-point victory over Alabama. They need to start trying to produce a little bit more other than beating Alabama by 1 point. Because as you saw right after that Alabama game, they lost to a horrid Texas A&M school. So, and they basically fizzled out after that. Now, anybody can get lucky and win one game against a big-time team. It happens all the time. But the consistency is what you're looking for. And for LSU people, they deserve that. Like I said, to me, a great fan base that deserves a coach that's genuine and is going to stay around a while. If they had had a coach that had been genuine and was on the up and up for the last 10 or 15 years, they'd probably be right where Alabama's at as far as national championships go, because they've won 3 national championships with 3 different head coaches. Just imagine if they had some continuity and some consistency, LSU could be a dominant dynasty, in my opinion. But, and one more little stat that was given to me by my boy Courtney. I forget your screen name, but Courtney sent me this. He said that ESPN power rankings from OU are at number 4 and USC skill shitters are still at number 6. Now, I don't put a lot of emphasis on ESPN power rankings, but it's something that all those USC skill shooters might need to think about. That's all I got to say about that. There's a little heart down here if you don't mind, a little $ in the middle. If you want to make a one-time donation to the program, just hit that. Throw a few dollars in the coffers. Also, you can join the Outlaw Posse for $2.99 a month, 75 cents a week. That's just a bottle of Dasani. You can get your badge, get deputized, get your 4 horsemen shout out. Also, maybe even be the comment of the day. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Subscriptions are most important. Share me out to your friends. Let's get this party crunk as the season is underway. I'm out of here. KMCA to all the other teams. Class is now officially dismissed.